All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone joining us today for Webinar Wednesdays. While we're waiting for everyone to log in, I just wanted to greet everyone a happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are staying healthy, productive, and ready for this webinar. So for the next hour or so, we're going to talk about using workplace to build a collaborative culture. And we've got two speakers today and we're really excited to get this webinar started. All right, so I hope you guys are sharing, or sorry, rather seeing my screen for today. And just for those that are new to the platform or want to ask some questions throughout this webinar, I'm sharing with you your screen, and I'm just gonna do a quick walkthrough of your tabs. So you'll see that we're at the very center, we'll be sharing our slides. Don't worry, whatever slides you're seeing now, you don't need to take a screen capture. We'll also share this full deck to you. And what you can do, in case the screen is too small, you're not happy with how it is, you can resize your screens. So you can make that adjustment to whatever's comfortable for you. And you'll see also at the bottom, there's a Q&A button. So anytime you have a question, please feel free to just click on that button and send those questions to us. And we'll endeavor to answer as much questions as we can throughout this webinar. And then this is practically everything you'll see. Connect with us on talentview.asia if you have more questions and if you want to stay updated on all our events and webinars that are upcoming. All right. And again, as we're waiting for more people, hello to everyone. My name is Ange. I'm from TalentView. Thank you for joining us during this webinar Wednesday. We're talking through 3 key points in our agenda, and I am seeing everybody come in already, so we'll start and jump right into it. The very first part of the agenda is talking about a framework that we've built at TalentView on how to build and sustain a connected workforce. In this pandemic, everyone's talking about the new normal, but in truth, this is the now normal. A lot of us will be having this kind of setup for quite some time. And we really need to look at our workforce, we really need to look at our people and see how we can get everybody working together and connected. So that's the first part. Second, we're gonna talk about how you can remotely drive cultural change. So culture remains a big word. Whether you're working in the office or outside the office, we want to talk about how you can maintain that culture, how can you evolve that culture to the landscape of today. And the third piece is how can you empower your people using Workplace. So Workplace is a platform that we've been using at TalentView, but they're also one of our biggest partners. And I've brought on Lawrence Villanueva from our Talent Culture and Collaborations team to talk more about Workplace and just showcase to you what it's all about if this is the first time you're hearing about it. And a quick introduction about me. So my name is Ange Vera. I'm the CEO of TalentView, and we've been working at TalentView for quite a significant amount of time, been in the HR industry for more than 15 years. So hi to everyone who's in HR. Thank you to our friends and colleagues who are watching. And I lead operations for the ASEAN region for about 200 customers. And I've also written a book called Rethink Recruitment, talking about the new landscape of talent acquisition and how you can win the constant war for talent. From the TalentView side, our specialization, our core area of focus has always been employer branding. So how do you manage the perception you have as an employer? And we do that in 3 key ways, whether that's helping you craft your employer brand strategy to approach the talent market or the kind of people that you're trying to attract and retain in your organization. The second is design. So we have our own team of multimedia graphic artists, video editors, animators to help you out so that you can manage the communications that you're sort of trying to connect with your audience. And the third and final piece is helping you build out your strategy or your technology rather when it comes to using certain platforms or being able to manage the connectivity of all your different tools. And for today, the main focus will be, as I mentioned, on Workplace by Facebook. These are some of the organizations we work with. You might be familiar with some of the brands. that we work with across the region. So you have your multinational corporations, large local conglomerates, and practically just companies that really need help in building their culture, strengthening their employer brand, and working on technologies to help boost their talent attraction, engagement, and retention. All right, so let's talk about this. So I'm jumping into the topic. Again, thank you for joining us for today. Let's talk about how do you build and sustain a connected workforce. And to get audience participation going, I know it's, for some people, the time may be an odd time for you. So let's run a quick poll. And I just wanted to ask all of you what platforms you're using right now to communicate with your talents or with your employees. So please feel free to check all that apply. And then we'll get a quick response, collated response going so that you can get your pulse and see how you fare against other companies. All right, so please feel free to answer. So for us, it's this, probably this, yeah, submit. All right, so I'll give 5 seconds for everyone still picking it up. Okay, let's see the results. Wow, okay, so this one is very interesting, but not new to us. 86% of everybody listening in today are using some form of chat or messenger apps. So whether that's FB Messenger, Viber, WhatsApp. Of course, you're using our video conferencing tools. So you've got your Zoom, your Skype, maybe Workplace, maybe Google Meets. So whatever that is, these are the areas of focus. And then you've got 71% using email. So that's interesting because we see a lot of companies now moving to more accessible communication platforms. Chat, for example, Viber, right? So all of us are in Viber or on WhatsApp, and we just sort of want to get answers right away and connect with our office mates on what's happening. So chat is really something that's a trend that's coming up that we're seeing. All right, nice. So thank you everyone for answering that quick poll. Let's move on. So I'm presenting to you now something we've built over the course of this, I would say, period of quarantine, which is called our extended workplace design. And there are 6 pillars to this extended workplace design. The reason we call it the extended workplace is because we've actually extended our company into the homes of our employees. Don't you agree? So what has happened is all of a sudden, because everybody's working from home, or majority of our people are working from home, we had to build systems, we had to build communication tools that would allow our employees to successfully work in their houses. And it's not always easy. It doesn't just require internet. Sometimes you have internet, but you still don't feel that your organization is connected or delivering the results that it needs to deliver. So we've designed these 6 pillars, and we're going to walk through each one today to help guide you in your continuous extended workplace. All right, so there are 6, and I'll go through each one. The very first one is enhanced leadership communication. When you're talking about working from home, because you want people to stay informed, because you want people not to panic, but to get all the information they need, the very first thing we need to do is enhance our leadership visibility or our communications coming from our leaders. So you may have noticed from maybe the past months, the very best companies have leaders that explain to them what's going to happen in our current setup, what's going to happen to all the jobs, what's going to happen to our laptops, desktops, and everything related to working from home or working wherever they are, right? So use your leaders and take a look at how this pillar is supporting your extended workplace. Leaders have to be super involved. You notice how most of the time it's a cascade, right? From the CEO passes on the information to, say, the vice presidents or the managers pass on information to supervisors pass on information to their teams. And what happens is that sometimes if there's a manager that's not efficient enough, they're not going to pass that information on time. And what's going to happen is their teams are going to suffer for that. They're not going to get accurate information. They're not going to be helped at the moment that you need them to be helped. So it's super important to secure this pillar and make sure that your leaders stay at the forefront of all communications. Another reason why we want this is because we're trying to avoid fake news, right? So because of all these COVID-19 information spreading, you'll notice that some people just informally share links from different sources and share it to the group, not knowing whether these are accurate information or fake news. So if you've got active leaders that are sharing and passing on information, then it's better for everybody because it means that these are the right sources and sources that people can rely on for accurate information. So that's the first pillar. Second pillar is resilient implementation. The moment everybody announced remote working or work from home, what happened? People had to use their own devices. They had to use their own laptop. They had to use their mobile phones. They had to adjust. As a company, you can't simply say, oh, you have to connect to our server to get work done. That's no longer the case because all of a sudden everyone's outside. So how do you ensure that in this day and age, you are able to get work done through the devices that people are using? You have to be resilient. Your platforms, the things you're using to communicate with your employees have to withstand a personal mobile phone, a personal laptop. Everything has to adjust at this point. So where are you in this pillar? Where are you in making sure that your implementation withstands the extended workplace? Right? So that's the second. The third, and I'm speaking to everyone here who's in HR, culture and collaboration mindset. So it doesn't mean that you're already working from home, all the culture building goes out the window. It's actually not the case, and we're seeing more people adjust to this every day. So last month, TikTok challenge, everyone was doing it. So you'll also notice some companies have taken that and said, okay, let's do our own TikTok challenge at the office, or maybe doing a company bingo, or celebrating birthdays, celebrating milestones. When you think about it, how are you doing that now as you're communicating? Are you still able to celebrate achievements of your team? Are you still able to celebrate birthdays and bring everyone together? This is going to be a very important pillar for everyone, most especially in HR, because you're now working with attracting talent, retaining talent, and engaging them. It's so difficult because there's so many distractions at home that it's harder to engage people and really get them involved on top of their work. So this is a pillar that you have to consider as you continue on with this extended workplace design. The fourth is a given, reliable and secure connectivity. So this is a challenge depending on what area you're in, right? But I think right now, a lot more are getting connected to the internet in a more reliable way. When I say reliable, it means it's running the basic stuff. It's running Zoom, it's running Viber, it's running the tools that allow people to deliver the work. But I think the second thing is a bigger challenge, which is the security. When we're talking of our informal chat tools, informal chat apps, these are actually consumer tools. So you will notice there will still be ads. There will still be times where you're trying to go through your family, your friends, your office mates, where you sent that message, because it's really all personal tools that we're using, that we're trying to adapt to work. So that's something that hopefully workplace, if you look at it, will solve, because it's meant to be company property and it's meant to be exclusively for your respective companies. So reliable and secure connectivity. The fifth is optimized integration. This is a basic example that I like to give here is filing of leaves. How have you migrated certain processes? For those in HR, if filing of leaves used to be they fill out 3 forms on paper, right? They have to fill out a form for the HR, they have to fill out a form for their manager, and then they have to fill out a form for themselves. 3 copies. How are you now going to seamlessly put that online or create an environment where it's easier for people to not have everything overlapping, not have everything redundant? So just integrating the platforms you're using. Sometimes also I've heard of companies where they want to use Zoom because everyone's using Zoom, not realizing that they already have a video conferencing tool in their company that their company purchased that they're not utilizing. So it's also vital for you to do that audit and see what are the technologies that our company has purchased, our company currently owns, that we can use during this extended workplace period. So very vital to put these pieces of the puzzle together, or even rebuild your puzzle. Rebuild your puzzle so that the pieces fit seamlessly according to the process that you want for your employees and for them to deliver the services that they committed to your customers, right? So that's the fifth. And the last one is data-driven change. So by now, we already have a lot of data. It's been 4 months into the quarantine, I believe. It's been 4 months and we already know what's working, what's not working, where are people struggling. And I'm telling you, don't just sit with that information. Take that information and see how you can make adjustments. See how you can make very important changes to your process so that you're using data and justifying everything you're doing through data. All right, so these are the 6 pillars. And I hope that as you progress through this webinar, you're also able to take a look at what are the areas that you think you need to build on, what are the areas you think you're good at. Okay, so just sharing with you some statistics. Companies and organizations that communicate effectively are 4.5 times more likely to retain the best employees. So this is a given. We know this. If you feel you belong, if you feel you're engaged, if you feel like you can connect to everyone, you will stay in that company. There's no reason for you to leave. And so you'll see that statistically, 4.5 times employees are more likely to stay in the companies if there's strong communication. Another input from HRD Asia, 70% of organizations report that the main cost-cutting measure they plan to use is more effective use of technology. So obviously, right now, everyone is cost-cutting. No matter what company you're from, what industry you're from, everyone's looking at ways to cut costs. And technology is going to be a great way for you to optimize everything and make sure that you're efficiently using your resources. So again, these are the 6. My only reminders as we move on to the next part is that hope is not a strategy. We can't just hope that this crisis will end and say that things will be better that time. There's a lot we can do. There's a lot that we can take a look at in these 6 pillars and be able to deliberately manage our culture and change for the better as individuals and as organizations. All right, so one last poll before I turn over to Lawrence. So just quickly, from the EWD or Extended Workplace Design Framework that I've shared, what are the areas that you think are your key strengths? Where are you good at? So please feel free to take that up and pick all that apply. And then we're going to look at our collective results. All right, so we'll give everyone 5 seconds. Okay, so let's take a look at the results, see where everyone is at. Okay, I love to see this. Thank you everyone for answering. Enhanced leadership communication. When we were starting out our webinars, probably 3 or 4 months ago, the percentage here for enhanced leadership communications was half. About 40% would say that this is their strength. But now it's doubled. 80% of you are saying that enhanced leadership communication is a strength for you. That's great. So for those 20%, leadership is key. They can drive change. They can manage their teams. It's vital for you to get this pillar checked and ensure that you're consistently helping your leaders to communicate to your teams, right? The next, and this one is expected because a lot of us here are in HR, culture and collaboration mindset. So I'm happy to see this, and this is consistent with previous webinars we've run, where everyone's really thinking how to build culture, how to strengthen their organization during these times. So areas of improvement, I can see data-driven change is at the bottom. So now remember that there's a lot of data we can use. Data like engagement rate. Have you checked the pulse of your organization? Are they happy with how everything's going? What can you improve? Maybe you can also take a look if you're still hiring, talent acquisition rate or talent attraction rate. How many people are drawn to your company? How many are applying? How many are getting hired? That's a good data point to see if you're doing things right or there's any adjustments that you need to make. Some areas for improvement as well would be resilient implementation and reliable and secure connectivity. So these ones, again, 40%, it's a pillar we have to work with. And if you're expecting that this extended workplace will also extend for you, maybe until end of the year or even next year, then this is a guide for you to take a look at these pillars and try to improve what we can. So thanks again, guys. I will be back for Q&A, but meantime, I will turn over our virtual floor to our talent culture and communications lead, Lawrence Villanueva.
Thank you again, Ange, for sharing the extended workplace design. And it's really interesting to see that the numbers for leadership communication has significantly gone up in comparison to some of the sessions that we've run over the past few months. So my name is Lawrence Villanueva, and I've been working in the HR industry for more than 10 years. The first half has been spent working closely with recruitment leaders and talent management teams in terms of getting the right people on board and making sure that before they promote someone, they already have the right competencies in place to be successful in their future role. And then the next part has been spent with TalentView. This time it's really about understanding why people join, why people stay, and why people leave the organization. So we've conducted a lot of surveys all around the Philippines to understand the answers to these questions. And then most recently, we've also partnered with Workplace by Facebook, and it's really designed to advance our own mission. Because our mission is really a bit cheesy. It's really helping employers get noticed and loved. So later on in the succeeding slides, I will be sharing with everyone here who's joining us how we've done that. So I'll jump right into the first question. How can you remotely drive cultural change with Workplace? We understand how important this is for everyone, knowing that we're all working apart. And of course, the values and culture that we stand for as an organization should be strengthened, especially during this time. So we'll give you a quick background about the trends that's shaping the future of work and how this is impacting the expectations of the employees or people that we normally collaborate with every day. And I think I no longer need to explain the first part, which is mobile first. Everything that we do nowadays is really centered around our mobile experience. Probably the first thing that you did today is to check your mobile phones and see how your day is going to look like for today. And like many other Filipinos out there, this is something that you constantly use to connect with our loved ones, regardless if they're here in the Philippines or abroad. So this is the reality that we've unconsciously embraced over the past few years. We also have the Generation Z and millennials who have taken over the workplace. So these generations have grown up using Facebook, Viber, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And to capture their attention successfully, the way we communicate should be so much more expressive through videos, live feeds, and images. So a lot of the organizations out there are constantly evolving, knowing that these are the new generations that they need to work with. And lastly would be knowing that there's so much change in terms of our external environment and uncertainty, both in our personal and professional lives. The amount of information that we receive every day and the amount of information that we share has drastically gone up. So everyone or all of the employees out there would like to share their ideas. They demand for transparency at work, and they also would like to share their accomplishments, knowing that they want to be recognized by their leaders. And we're also seeing a trend where people are starting to share their voice and how they stand against social issues. And more importantly, they want to know that their leaders are listening closely to the things that are important to their hearts. On top of these key trends, COVID-19 has also happened back in a few months back. And this has created physical and digital distance across the globe. So Workplace by Facebook is here to close that gap because we know that it has never been much more important for employees to feel much more connected, engaged, and informed in the upcoming months. So let me share a video about Workplace by Facebook to give everyone a background, and then later on, we will be deep diving around the best practices in terms of how organizations have implemented workplace and the kind of structure and groups that they've implemented nation or organizational wide.
As your business evolves for the future, your teams and culture should change and grow with it. The key to achieving this is connection. At Facebook, we know a lot about connecting people. That's why we built Workplace, to connect the world of work and turn companies into communities. And just like Facebook and Messenger, Workplace is intuitive and simple to use. Workplace lets you connect directly with your employees, meaning you can always find and engage the right people at the right time. It also lets you broadcast live to your entire company to get real-time comments and reactions. Workplace isn't just about increasing engagement, it's about boosting culture too. Groups allow you to share ideas, celebrate contributions, and connect on projects with meaningful collaboration. They're a shared space where people and teams feel connected, informed, and supported. When every team, manager, or partner is connected, great things happen. Workplace gives you confidence that your teams are working together, solving problems and striving for success. With Knowledge Library, all your company and team's resources can sit in one place. Workplace seamlessly integrates with your existing tools and adapts with your organization. It gives you the control, security, and visibility your company needs. No matter what type of work you do, Workplace is designed for everyone, whether you're behind a desk or in front of customers. With 5 million paid users around the world, Workplace has connected companies in a big way. Just imagine what it could do for yours. As your business evolves for the future.
So the Facebook team has spent more than a decade to understand how people connect and engage and create digital communities. So they've taken everything that they've learned over the past 10 years, coming from more than 2 billion users, and have applied that to the world of work. So the very first question that we normally get when we share this video, Lawrence, can I use my Facebook account to log in to Workplace? So the quick answer to that is no. It's a totally separate and secured account. So coming from the extended workplace design, I noticed that security is one of the key areas of improvement. So it's a totally separate and secured platform for your organization. And it's really designed for enterprise application. So you won't see any of the feeds coming from your friends or relatives on Workplace. And everything that you post on Workplace are just related to the colleagues that you normally collaborate with. And I think this is a very important part. You also have data ownership, which means that everything that you put on Workplace is something that your organization owns. Security as well is something that we can improve on as always. And think of the Singapore government as an organization. They have more than 140,000 employees who are all constantly communicating, collaborating, and sharing crucial information in the platform. And you can easily manage groups as well, depending on the structure of your organization. And what's beautiful about it is that it has all of the things that more than 2 billion people across the globe are already using. So you can use chat to start a quick conversation with a colleague. You can easily search for an important document that can be shared across the organization. And you can also customize your news feeds depending on what you want to consume on a daily basis. And then I would say that the lifeblood of Workplace is your groups. This is an area where you can easily start a project, track its milestone, and share what you have accomplished to your leaders and your colleagues. And then if, let's say, you need to collaborate with your finance team or marketing team that's outside of your function, then you can easily use profiles and see who you need to work with on Workplace. So think of the most recent implementation or application that you've implemented in your respective work. Were you able to successfully drive behaviors or change behaviors? Or did you experience resistance to change? So from our experience and knowing that Workplace is used by more than 80 million Filipinos, there's almost no training required, saving you in terms of cost to the training programs and the adoption rates that you have in place. So now that you know the trends that's shaping the future of work and how it's impacting the expectation of employees, we've also shared a quick background about Workplace. Now we will be sharing with you how different organizations, local and global, are using Workplace to bring people together and deepen engagement. Because in reality, we really need to meet where people are. If you think about it as consumers, if you have a concern about a product or a service that was rendered to you, the first thing that you're going to do is to go online and talk about it or reach out to the organization itself and explain the things that you want to change. So why not apply the same transformation in our business, knowing that your people are most likely on these platforms anyway? If you want to humanize the whole experience, you can easily create a video or do a live feed so that you can easily connect with all of the employees that you care about. Especially during this time, people would want to feel connected, they want to be engaged, and they want to be constantly, I would say, engaged with the people that they work with. So Workplace is a platform designed to make all of those things happen. And from what our findings, if you want to change the culture and values of the organization, the first thing that you need to do first is to create that sense of community. You need to make sure that people are connected and they have social partnerships with the people that they work with, so that the conversation around your values could easily be weaved around their daily conversation, regardless if it's for work or regardless if it's for a catch-up session that they normally do in the office. And now we're moving that into the digital space. So here's another video. This time it's from a leadership perspective in terms of how they brought people together to deepen engagement and to build that sense of community at work.
What I've now learned with internal communication, it's not about highly polished communication campaigns. It's really about the real life messiness that builds trust.
When you use Workplace as a platform for collaboration, you also have to look at what aspects of your culture you need to change, because Workplace is as good as what the leadership wants it to be and allows it to be for the company to be effective.
You can't be this ivory tower and expect people to galvanize around you if they don't understand your motivations and who you are as a human being and if it's authentic. And I think authenticity is really critical today in how you're perceived as a leader.
I think future leaders have to be listeners. If you are able to take the feedback, and even if it's angry feedback, and still make people feel like you're listening, I think that is what the future will have to be.
Give your team a voice. The reality is they're talking every single day anyway. Really giving them a voice, a platform to stand on that can get amplified, but then hear what they're saying, react to what they're saying, and embrace what they're saying.
Being uncomfortable is something that will be one of the very first things that happens in Workplace, and I've seen this especially with some senior leadership. It's very democratic, so all levels can post, the good and the bad. It will make us a better company because of that. Now we have to shine a light on everything, but Workplace really shines that light.
So if you'd notice in the video, they've mentioned trust, authenticity, culture, giving people a voice, and being uncomfortable. So these are some of the keywords used by global leaders in driving the cultural transformation in their business. And I really love the last part where one of the leaders mentioned that some of their senior leadership team are uncomfortable, knowing that this doesn't really happen overnight. So when we try to drive this kind of transformation, we recognize that there will be work ahead, and leaders will need to constantly reinvent themselves to adapt to the changing world of work. And then the next part would be communicating at the speed of mobile. So remember the key trends earlier? Mobile first is one of the few things that they've specified in terms of the things that will redefine the way we work in the future. So you can easily start a conversation with the click of a button and invite up to 50 people, even if they're not a part of your organization. So we recognize that this kind of transformation is very important internally, but we know how important it is as well for the people that you work with outside of your organization. So think of 7-Eleven as a business. They have different dealers located inside and outside of Metro Manila. A dealer here in Manila could easily share best practices from their stores, take a photo, share that on the group, and all of the dealers in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao could easily replicate the same strategy so that they can also drive revenue for themselves. And then next would be your game-changing bots for onboarding talents and increasing or upscaling them. In terms of the kind of transformation that we are seeing, once you're already using the platform as a way to communicate and engage with talents, the next step is really to enhance the employee experience or make the lives of your employees easier. So if you're in HR, we know how difficult it is to onboard talents. So if you use bots, you can easily automate some of the processes that you have inside. You can easily welcome new hires, and you no longer need to send out multiple emails across the organization. And think of it this way. If you have offices in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, people could easily welcome new hires as if they are joined in a face-to-face, or as if they're together in a face-to-face conversation. That's the first step. It's really about onboarding talents much more effectively. And then we also talk about upskilling employees. And on HR's end, this is something that you can use to automate your learning and development practices, and people could easily subscribe to the things that they want to learn about. And we're also creating the two-way conversation. If there are things that they want to improve, if there are questions around the topic that you want to upskill them for, then your employees could easily share their questions, their concerns about the topics, and leaders can even respond to the things that they're worried about. And I think this is the most effective groups on workplace globally. And this is what we would normally recommend. It's for your business to align your rewards and recognition programs with the values of your organization. So if you want to drive that cultural transformation, the very first step is to align the two. Rewards and recognition with the values of the organization. And from there, people can celebrate success. And what we're finding out is that as HR leaders or comms leaders or even IT leaders, you no longer need to create the content, because people will create the content themselves and share the good news that's happening all around the organization. So if, let's say, I'm an employee coming from a different site, I could easily share how my colleague has gone the extra mile to make sure that the customer is satisfied in the work that we have done. And then what we're seeing as well is that leaders would normally post a 15 or 20-second video just to congratulate all of the employees who have been nominated. And part of the trend is also to identify who your culture carriers are. These are the people who has a disproportionate impact to your organization in terms of values. So if we're gonna pause here for a bit, try to think about like your work experience at the moment. Who among your employees or who among your colleagues do you think are sharing the values of the organization? You can easily identify who they are, and all you need to do is give them a platform where they could share their voice and share how other employees are displaying the values and behaviors that you want the organization to embrace continuously in the next few years. So it's really about making sure that you realign your rewards and recognition programs with your values. And then part of the change as well is getting the pulse of your organization real time. So in the extended workplace design of Ange earlier, I noticed that in the survey, everyone mentioned that data, or at least majority of the participants that they mentioned that data-driven change is part of the things that they feel, or part of the things that you feel like that needs to be improved in your business. With Workplace by Facebook, you can easily get the pulse of your organization real time. And the data is updated constantly so that you also know what kind of content resonates the most with your employees. You'd also be able to see who among your leaders are constantly communicating and collaborating with the different functions. And this is something that we're slowly introducing to the market, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that leaders are the one who are driving the change. Without your leaders, this kind of transformation wouldn't be successful. And what people appreciate about Workplace by Facebook is that everything is in one place. So if there's one message here, our main message would be less is more. So coming from all of the organizations that we've worked with, they really started the journey using Viber, email, G Suite, WhatsApp, and Zoom, for example. Now you have this opportunity to put everything in one place So you no longer need to use multiple platforms in terms of connecting with employees, building engagement programs, rewarding and recognizing them, and even tracking how employees are feeling every day. So it's real time. It means that leaders can easily connect with everyone across the organization, share important news, and encourage two-way conversation that will allow employees to share both the good news and the bad news, because this is the only way for an organization to be better. And then next would be asynchronous ways of working. So if there's a specific task that you want to prioritize, you can easily turn on your do not disturb function, and you won't be notified on anything about Workplace or any news feeds that's happening on Workplace. And you can focus on the task at hand and reply later on once you've completed the work that needs to be accomplished. And what we're seeing as well from the global organizations and from the videos that we've shared earlier, leaders are slowly migrating their intranet content to Workplace. There's a feature that we call Knowledge Library, and this is a place where you can store all of the information that people need to know about from day one. So it could be as simple as the mission, vision, and values of the organization, your targets per function, and then you can easily upload as well dynamic content, which are your video trainings. You can easily upload your recent town hall so that people could see and be informed about the news that's happening in the organization. So everything is in one place, and you no longer need to use any other platforms in the organization that is unsecured. And what we're seeing, at least globally, would be the adoption rates is at 80%. So this is a very good number. Typically at 50 or 60 or even 65%, organizations would already be satisfied. But knowing that Workplace is used by more than 2 billion people across the globe, there's no training required. And here in the Philippines, we feel like it's probably most likely higher, knowing that Filipinos are the #1 users of Facebook globally. We spend roughly around 4 to 5 hours every day, constantly communicating, getting updates, and engaging with our friends and relatives. So think about that kind of transformation that it can bring to your business. We need to meet people where they are, and Workplace by Facebook is designed just to do that. So we have another poll, and this time we just wanted to understand the kind of engagement activities that you've recently rolled out, coming from the fact that we now are all working remotely, or at least some of us are working remotely. So what are the engagement activities? What engagement activities have you adapted for your organization? So feel free to choose or select all. If these are all programs that you're doing internally. And I just wanted to get a pulse. And while you're answering the poll, so remember, we need to bring people together, meet them where they are, communicate at the speed of mobile. We also talk about aligning your rewards and recognition programs with your values, and then making sure that you get the pulse of the organization so that you know the areas that you need to improve on every day. So let's see the results. So this is very interesting. Virtual town hall meetings, and I'm trying to connect this with the previous response of everyone. So it's most likely in relation to the leadership communication, which is really at 80% earlier, but there are opportunities as well here where you can easily create that sense of culture and community as we're all working apart. So from our end, we normally host virtual coffee sessions, not drinking sessions. Knowing that we're all working from home, but we're still working. So it's mostly coffee sessions on our end. We also have what we call our Fitness Fridays. Employee recognition is hitting a good number at 60%. And you also have your interest group. And this is something that we're slowly, I would say, implementing to the organization. And what we're finding out globally as well is that people are now creating support groups. So you have your work from home group, and it's really dedicated for sharing tips for work from home parents in terms of how they can manage, I would say, the challenges both in our personal and professional lives. So these are some of the ideas that you can easily implement as well within the organization. So I hope this is something that we can talk about more and see how this could be done in your business. And again, these are all things that are really designed to increase engagement, build that sense of community, and make people feel as if they're just talking in the corridors of your workplace. So the next step or the next question would be, how can you empower your people using Workplace? So let me share with you some of the numbers that we're finding out globally. This is coming from the Total Economic Impact Report conducted by the Forrester Group, and 25% in reduction in leadership and communication costs. That's number one. You also have 34% reduction in time taken for frontline workers to get updates. Later on, I will be sharing a video from the CEO of Starbucks, Kevin Johnson, and how this is seen in action. You also have 10% increase in employee retention. So if people feel connected, and if there's a sense of community inside the organization, which means that they not just talk about work along with the things that needs to happen at work, and if they have social groups inside, interest groups inside, where they feel like they could get support, then retention would be impacted. And then we also have 24% increase in onboarding efficiency. So earlier I've shared about making the lives of your employees easier through game-changing bots. And this is one of the impacts that we've seen all around the globe. So here's the video of Kevin Johnson, the CEO of Starbucks.
In January, we implemented Workplace by Facebook. Now think of Workplace by Facebook as a private Facebook for Starbucks partners to communicate and share information. Workplace allows us now to stream live open forums and have real-time dialogue with our store managers. We launched this in January with a live open forum hosted by Howard and myself with all store managers in the US. That's what you see up here on the screen. This was actual live open forum in January. And you can see by this live video, we are getting real-time comments, hearts, thumbs up, sometimes a thumbs down, mostly thumbs ups, and store managers asking us questions. Now this was a new experience for both Howard and myself. But we have now started doing these Workplace live open forums with our store managers every month. And store managers have now found a way to create community and better connect with us. Some recent examples. About a month ago, a store manager posted on Workplace. They posted a post that said that they are selling more than 20 beverages a day that are not on our official beverage menu. They are beverages that were featured on Instagram. How many people use Instagram to get your beverage? See all kinds of beverages on Instagram. Well, they're selling 20 a day. They're not sure they have the right recipe. Well, within 24-hour period, nearly 40 other store managers also posted and said, I'm selling 15 of these a day. I'm selling 30 of these a day. And then that evening, our category marketing team saw the volume of posts and how much this beverage featured on Instagram was selling in our stores. And they made a decision that night and posted back to store managers by the next morning that they had made the decision to add this to the official beverage recipes, something that could have taken weeks, if not months, to happen before Workplace, happened in one day. That is creating visibility with our store managers that's enabling us to have more velocity in the way we make decisions so we can better serve our store managers and our partners in the stores.
So this is the kind of transformation that excites us to work with different organizations. And if you'd notice, the leadership himself is in the forefront of leading the transformation. So the team from Starbucks have empowered all of their employees to easily connect, communicate, and collaborate across all of the 254,000 employees that they have. And we have our next story as well, coming from AirAsia.
We've become a very large and complex organization and operations, 22,000 4-stars who come from 60 different nationalities spread across over 200 destinations, 5 countries of operations, 9 airlines. We're a big operation. So we use Workplace really to do 2 things, connect people and make work flow.
We are operating 1,300 flights on a daily basis, and we carry more than 200,000 passengers from A to B. We use Workplace heavily within our operations, especially as a connecting tool between our guys on the apron and in the terminal at the airports across Asia and Australia.
Workplace has been a revolution for AirAsia. It has changed the way my pilots operate, especially by us informing them about immediate changes that affect their flights on a particular day, get them information about the issues that we face on our on-time performance, as well as let them know of everything that's happening in the industry.
Workplace really helped AirAsia Japan members to overcome their language barriers, I think, because compared with another AOCs, Japan tend to less use English in daily conversation, but having translate function with Workplace, it's easier for them to share about their ideas and understand what's going on in a group.
We realized that Workplace could be used as a medium of communication for ground operations. We started sharing our load distribution messages on Workplace because rather than sending out emails, when you send it on Workplace, it is more accessible to everybody via their phones. Since everything is written black and white, the message is delivered accurately and there's no room for mistake.
So what I've requested is whether we could help educate our staff to create more awareness about trafficking, and if they spot cases, to know what to do and who to report it to. So the AirAsia Foundation itself is a personality on Workplace, so it's followed by everyone, so that ensures that everybody will view what AirAsia Foundation posts every time they log on to Workplace.
My personal favorite feature would be creating polls. Makes my life easy, makes decision making easy, and of course I go live with my pilots at least once a quarter to give them update about what's happening around in flight operations and what's the strategy going forward.
I think most of us like it most for the way that we now can get to know our colleagues better.
Who has been promoted, who is moving from one department to another department, everything is shared on Workplace. It's an AirAsia community in one network.
Workplace is kind of changing the way we work and connecting people better.
So in AirAsia's case, the number one reason why they've decided to go on board on Workplace is to fight bureaucracy. And earlier in my slides, I've shared how creating that two-way conversation is vital to ensuring that you can successfully create that cultural change. So employees are now empowered and leaders are encouraging people to share what they are concerned about. And that creates that two-way conversation where both the good and the bad conversations could easily take place and the challenges in the organization could easily be resolved. So in their case, they have more than 22,000 employees coming from 16 nationalities. And one of the key features that they typically use would be the auto-translate, both on post and on videos. So you can only imagine the kind of barriers that Workplace has removed for their organization. And we also have Heineken as a business who is both present here in the Philippines and globally. They have more than 120,000 employees. And the number one tip coming from Hyundai during the Transform event of Workplace is that do not be afraid to make your leaders feel as if they're human in the organization. So Workplace is something that they're using to bridge the gap between leaders and employees to solve challenges in the workplace. So on their end, one of the most effective campaigns that people subscribed to and resonated well with was the goodbye message from their CEO. So their CEO delivered a heartfelt message saying goodbye to everyone that he's worked with. And then after that, the new CEO has also shared a live video so that he can get everyone on board in terms of the new direction of the business. So think about that kind of transformation for your organization and how employees would feel if they're immediately informed about the changes that is happening in the organization. And lastly would be Globe. As an organization, one of the key things that they wanted to create or increase would be their engagement. So when they started, they really wanted to create social communities in the organization, and it's really a place where people could not just collaborate in terms of getting work done, but it's a place where people could share their wellness programs or be able to purchase merchandise that's really only designed for Globe employees. And in this case, their CEO would normally host live sessions or town halls as well, this time to answer some of the most pressing questions from the employees. So if you want to create that transformation for your business, the first step really is to use the platform as a way to communicate, engage, and build that sense of community in the organization. We also have collaboration. This is where everything gets done. You can easily collaborate cross-functionally as needed, or even with colleagues who are not close to where you are. So even if they're in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, or somewhere else globally, Workplace is a platform where you can easily get work done. And lastly would be automating things. Again, we need to enhance the employee experience and make the lives of our employees so much easier. So regardless if you have 50 or 200,000 employees, Workplace is a platform designed not just to connect employees, but it's really built for engagement, building that sense of community, and putting everything together in one place. So I now welcome back Ange, and our main, you can easily try Workplace by Facebook for free by registering to the website that Anna and Win will be sharing later today.
All right, thank you, Lauren. So thank you everyone for staying tuned. So as you know, right, thank you for putting in your questions. Lawrence, again, thanks for sharing Workplace. As you know, PalletView is the partner of Workplace here in the Philippines. So the reason why we continue to do these webinars is not only just to generate awareness of Workplace as a great tool that you can use, but also to help organizations understand how they can build better collaboration, better culture among their teams and entire organization. All right, so we're going to take a few questions. There are a few questions here. So what happens when an employee resigns? How fast can we bring this to our organization? And what client support does Workplace provide? So maybe I'll start and then I'll transfer to Lawrence just to support, right? So what happens when an employee resigns? This is a great question, because if you're using Viber or you're using WhatsApp or any other consumer app, what happens is you add a person manually, and then if they resign, sometimes we keep sharing information only to find out that the employee resigned and we still included them in the group. So on Workplace, you can tie it up to your employee directory so that when somebody resigns, once you take them out of the employee directory list, immediately they are also out of your Workplace. So that's the beauty of having separate Facebook and Workplace accounts, is that you can tie it up to your employee directory and make sure that you're really managing only the people that are supposed to get important information. How fast can you bring this to your organization? You can do that today. You can just download the app. It's a free trial. You can already start using this in your organization. Lawrence, any other things you want to add?
And then from our experience, normally there are some steps required for you to make sure that the implementation itself would be successful. So it's really about planning what your key objectives are in terms of implementing Workplace. So for some organization, just to give you a few examples, you have leadership visibility, unifying communication, and building that sense of community in their work. So you need to identify first what your key objectives are so that we can focus on that in terms of implementing Workplace for your organization.
All right. So I think that's most of our questions. If there's anything else, please let us know. But again, you know, it's coming, it's just hitting 12 noon here in Manila. So I'd now like to close this session if there are no other questions from the rest of the team or from the rest of the audience today. So I'm taking the screen and I'm gonna be just wrapping up, telling you how you can get the resources and just sharing a bit more information. All right. So just very quickly, you'll also see your feedback survey pop up on your screen. Please tell us how you found the discussion. If you learned anything from collaboration and from the extended workplace design, if you learned anything from Workplace, please let us know. We're happy to take that feedback and improve for future sessions. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to make some quick announcements too. Some final notes, right? So let us know again how your webinar experience was. And what we're going to do is, you know, just give us your feedback. We'll share an additional resource to you there is a report that we're currently writing. It's called Employer Brand Strength Report for 2020. So trying to understand the trends that are happening, how people are managing their employer brands, how companies are trying to attract talent now. Are they using more social media? What other platforms are they using online? Just getting the trends that HR leaders are practicing, are using for them to win the war for talent and help in their attraction, engagement, and retention. So we'll definitely send you a copy of that report. Just send us your feedback for this webinar. All right? And when we email you, please expect an email from us just in case we go into your spam folder. We will be sharing with you the link to the webinar recording. So if you want to watch that again or share that with your other colleagues in the company, you're free to do so. We're also going to share with you our presentation slides for today and any additional resources that we think might help in helping you managing your extended workplace. So these are our QR codes, myself and Lauren. So if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn, continue this conversation, please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn and we'll be happy, more than happy to get in touch with you there. And here are our links for TalentView. If you want to learn more about Workplace, if you want to learn how we're helping other companies collaborate and build their culture, please visit our website, talentview.asia, and also our other channels. If you want to send us an email, you can do so as well through inquiry@talentview.asia. So please send your feedback in. And if there's nothing else, we want to say thank you again for joining us. And we hope to see you in future Webinar Wednesdays here at TalentView. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.